There's another building. I have no idea what the building was used for. But there's all these various buildings on this complex. And there's a gargoyle. Or is it a garboy? That's a gargoyle. Okay. Yeah, on the edge of that building. I can tell because it's got long hair, so that's why I knew it was a gargoyle. And there's another building, another gargoyle. One on each side of the stairs there. Look at that. Just those things that they made, just totally fascinating. All those statue things that they would attach to that. I don't know how they did that. It was a trick and a half, I'll tell you. And they had buildings and things all over this complex. They uncovered this complex, and so that they could have tourists to come and check all this out. Big business of all these tourists checking out Chichen Itza in Yucatan Peninsula, of all these ruins that have been lost for over 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years ago when they made these things. And in one day, all the people just disappeared, and they don't know why. They disappeared. If they just overproduced the land and they couldn't produce enough food, or if there was a big drought, or disease, or whatever, they just like mysteriously just disappeared, and that was the end of them. And never to be found again. Never lived in that complex again, ever. And they got overgrown, completely overgrown. The jungle took it over. And then maybe, I don't know, 75 years ago or whatever it was, something like that, they started uncovering all these buildings. And Chichen Itza, now they've got all uncovered so that people have access to this complex. There's a big complex like this at Mexico City also they've uncovered, but there happens to be other complexes. There's somebody coming down. There's a chain. See that chain right there in the middle? Hang on to that chain so you won't fall. But there's other complexes through the Yucatan Peninsula that are still completely overgrown, that they're still uncovering. They'll be uncovering these complexes for hundreds of years yet. So, you know, somebody's going to start coming down, and nope, they're just going to sit there. So that's what I did. I sat there, and then I started walking down the thing, but I'd hang on to that chain for my little rail type thing. There's another building on that complex. I have no idea what that building was used for. And that's how they made that building with all those stones. Very labor intensive. Get out of here. That's a lot of work to put something like that together. And this was like an observatory. And they would observe the stars and the planets and things like that from there, called the observatory. So they would do sky things from there, checking out all the various planets and the stars and things. So they knew a lot about that, and then they knew the concept of the number 0. They were the first ones to come up with the concept of the number 0. I believe this complex was made even before the pyramids in Egypt. This is really old. I think more than 1,000 years, a couple of thousand years, or 3,000 years old, something like that, really old. There's nothing but ruins now, but there's a lot of tourists check this out all the time, every year. That was fun to take that as a side trip to go check this out from Club Med. I flew over to it from Club Med, flew over here to Chichen Itza. They have their own little airport. They're a real small airport, just enough to land these little airplanes there. And another building there on that complex. You can see by all those trees and things how the trees and everything would eventually take over that complex if nobody was around to stop it. So they had to cut back all those trees and all that overgrowth to reveal these buildings again. So as you flew from Club Med over to here, you could see every once in a while the big hump of this green stuff. You knew something obviously was underneath that big hump of green, which is another complex they've yet to uncover. There were buildings all over this complex. This is one of the largest complexes in Mexico at the time. It's just a big city is what it was.